I have a question for you. Mm, what do you think about the opportunity in the next economy to reach the present situation of, of competence between national countries into Europe and go through strategic alliance between cities, between metropolitan cities in Europe?
Uh, for me, this is a fascinating question and one that I think about quite a lot. I have been advocating, for example, that the cities in the northwestern metropolitan area, which is London, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Brussels, and Paris, should work more together. Because this cluster of cities is the cluster where you have the concentration of the advanced finance and business services of Europe. I'm not trying to make a point, but 75% of all advanced financial transactions take place in these 5 cities. This is Europe's banker, is there. So it's quite important that those 5 cities start to think as a team and start to behave when they think about Europe in this kind of way. Now, there would also be many other groupings. I have spoken many times to the Visegrad grouping, Berlin and Prague and Budapest and Bratislava and Warsaw. That group of cities, the Central European capitals, they should have a common agenda about infrastructure, about specialization, about collaboration together. You need this, of course, in the Mediterranean basin. I'm one of the people who've been very excited about Barcelona's appointment as the capital secretariat for the Mediterranean Union, because I think Barcelona is a kind of business capital for the Mediterranean, and I think that that would involve working with other significant cities in the Mediterranean, especially Istanbul, if I may say, to build a kind of an alliance of metropolitan business hubs, or Mediterranean business hubs. And you can imagine some others. Of course, you know, the famous Corridor 5 that begins in Lisboa, goes through Madrid to Barcelona, all the way to Sevilla. These trans-European networks, I think, offer a certain kind of complementarity. And then, of course, if you think about what I would call the smart world cities, these are the slightly smaller cities, not as big as London, but in the size of Barcelona, focusing on innovation, entrepreneurship, creativity, a distinctive economy. This is yourselves. I think this is also happening in Zurich, in Amsterdam, 1 or 2 other leading European cities that are the smart world cities. I think they could do a lot working together to collaborate, particularly between their knowledge creation institutions. That would be very interesting. So a lot of potential there. But I also be keen to hear what you think about that.
Yes, you said something very interesting about Polish cities, but you passed through very quickly. Okay. I don't know if you could tell us something more about anything else about the improvement of Polish cities, and why do you think they are surpassing Barcelona maybe and other Spanish cities? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, because I should clarify my comment. What I'm saying is this. In the last 25 years, okay, so I begin my story. The best performing cities by national group are the German cities, and very close to them are the Swiss cities now, in terms of who performs best, on a range of rankings. The best improved cities in the last 25 years is the Spanish cities as a cohort. This is in Europe, coming up much faster. But the group that is now coming fastest are the Polish cities. And I think it's because, you know, they learned something from the Spanish model, basically. They have Warsaw developing as a business hub. You have Poznan developing as a center of entrepreneurship and new economy and technology. You have Krakow as a cultural city, beautiful to visit, renovation, a seat of learning, a university city. You have the beginning of Gdansk becoming a new modern manufacturing center. You have Katowice developing itself as a distribution and logistics hub looking east. And you have improved infrastructure, much better business environment, solid public finances. You will find, I think, that the Polish cities will improve very fast in the next decade. And they have one big advantage. Because they have had this kind of diaspora for the last 10 years. Their talented people have been working in London and Paris and Barcelona and Amsterdam and Brussels and Munich and Hamburg and New York and Shanghai and Hong Kong and everywhere else. And now the crisis has had the effect of bringing a large number of the diaspora home. They have this amazing talent group of multilingual, very well educated Polish people who are savvy about international markets and the global system, who are now thinking, we're ready to build the future of Poland now. When we look back, we will say that the 90s and the first years of the 2000s were the era in which the Polish population became globalized and then came home again.
Okay, well, I have one very short question. We had 3 days ago an election. We were choosing who was the best soccer team in the world. And we had this, well, I'd like you to comment on the tension between Madrid and Barcelona, because there are many people that say that Barcelona is lost some distance with Madrid, and in some aspects, in terms of infrastructure and others, Madrid is taking the head. And I'd like you to tell us how you see this tension between the main two capitals in Spain.
Yeah. Xavier, of course, this is a much more complex relationship than I really understand. Okay, I don't want to pretend I really understand this, but I do have some observations about it. I mean, firstly, I think that Spanish governance in general, this asymmetric devolution that you have, where some regions are more autonomous than others, and where the fiscal centralism of the Spanish system really doesn't work very well if you're Barcelona, okay? In a certain way it works for Catalonia at a certain level, but Catalonia and Barcelona are still subsidizing the rest of Spain with a lot of net tax export every year. And this is a problem because the competitiveness of Catalonia and Barcelona is partly a function of investment. And if you can't invest in Catalonia and Barcelona because your taxes are going elsewhere, it's very difficult. Now, you will never become completely, well, no, let me put it another way. Some people would like you to become completely fiscally autonomous. I suspect this isn't going to happen in the next 10 or 15 years, is my guess. I don't want to appear to know what the electorate will decide. So you have to find a way to make progress on this fiscal issue. That is about the relationship between Barcelona and Catalonia and the Spanish government. That is not the same as the relationship between Barcelona, the city, and Madrid, the city. You have to, I think, stop thinking that Madrid is simultaneously a city and the home of the Spanish government. These are two different things that require a different strategy. So, in terms of the relationship with the Spanish government, this is a process of political dialogue, negotiation, change, and I'm very aware of what happened with the judges and the Autonomy Act and everything else. So I understand that this has not been a fruitful journey in the last few years, but you must continue, clearly, with that. That is different from what should Barcelona and Madrid do together as two cities. And in my opinion, there is a lot of scope for collaboration there. For example, there is different kinds of functional specialization. The headquarters city, the entrepreneurial city, the corporate, the creative, the, you know, the what we might call, let me put it this way, where the capital is financial versus the intellectual capital. This is a common relationship. You will see this relationship with New York and Boston, or you will see it, you know, between Sydney and Melbourne. You see this between Cape Town and Johannesburg. Most countries have room for a corporate headquarters city and an innovative, creative city. And I think Barcelona and Madrid should explore the potential to work in those kinds of ways, then you can begin to develop joint university programs. You can begin to think about, what do we do on this railway line? By the way, this is a very good deal for Zaragoza, of course, because it's halfway between the two. So Zaragoza has an interesting strategic positioning to do here. And then you can begin to think about, well, how can we work together? For example, in Barcelona, we need to finance small companies. We need small companies to grow, because this is an entrepreneurial economy. In Spain, in Madrid, you have a kind of a concentration of the banking industry. Can we form an alliance with them around venture capital and around a small business stock exchange in Barcelona? There are many things you can do once you have an agenda of collaboration. But I think the primary thing is to differentiate. Barcelona City and Madrid City is a collaboration agenda. Catalonia and Barcelona with Spanish government is a political agenda, and you have to see them as separate. The more you think of Madrid, the city, as the enemy, the less easy it is to do this. And if you are going to win 5-0, I call this the Hawaii result, Hawaii 5-0, yeah? And this is Hawaii. The more you have Hawaii, if you're in collaboration with the people in Madrid, the more you can tell them about it.